Ladies and gentlemen, Bears football is back. Pat the Designer, Jason McKie in here. Jeff Meller still handling White Sox post-game duties, so he's not here with us for the first preseason game. But J Mack, Ben Johnson starting things off with an emphatic offensive stamp. 34-10, the Bears take the first preseason game. So much excitement coming into this season, and it's good just to finally feel like that breath of like an exhale, J Mack. Just like, the game is back that we love.
Yeah, it's preseason, and some people may think, it doesn't matter. But being a guy who's been involved in a ton of preseasons, being a guy who was, always trying to make a roster, every preseason game was like the Super Bowl. And that's how you treated it, with the preparation, with the way you attacked the game. It wasn't just like, hey, you know what, I'm on the team. No, it's like I got to go out here and show out and really, put together my best performance so that way I can be on that 53-man roster. So, yeah, it's exciting that Bears ball is back.
You hear the pads popping. You hear Adam Amin on the broadcast, and you just go, okay, we're back. We're doing things the right way. A lot to get into on the show today. I mean, we got to talk about what we saw offensively, of course, but dare I say some people really – I don't know if I'm going to say made a name for themselves, but made their names known to the masses. Of course, names that Ben Johnson and them have been talking about. We'll have to go through that and really just take a look at even seeing Luther Burden on the field and the excitement that this offense could bring this season. What can we actually glean from the scheme that we saw today? 312-332-3776. My question to the audience out there, and of course, my question to Jason McKie on today's episode. Who really stood out to you? Who's on your radar now as you continue to move through? There's a lot of names that you can get to, J Mack, and we want to hear from you guys as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys I think that took advantage of their first opportunity.
Yeah.
Starting out on the offensive side of the ball, you look at Savon Ahmed. A lot of guys, Coleman Bennett. Then you go to the receiver room, Caden Davis, Ray McLeod, Maurice Alexander. I mean, it's good to just be regurgitating all these names because everybody played a part and made a big play.
Yeah.
And the good thing is, you see guys go out there on the practice field up there at Hallett's Hall, and you wonder, is it going to translate into a game-type environment? Well, some of these guys, it did. A guy like Caden Davis, who's a D2 guy, a guy that Tyson Bagents has really, singled out throughout his press conferences saying, hey, it's a D2 guy. He's gritty. He wants, and he showed that today.
Yeah.
Also got involved in the special teams in the return game. So really good to see him go out there and perform, along with a lot of the guys that I mentioned.
I thought something that was a big takeaway for me, J Mack, and seeing a lot of these names, and we'll go through a lot of the guys that are exciting. Again, if you want to call in, 312-332-3776. Phone lines are open. My takeaway overall from this game, because that's kind of where you get to with preseason. You get into the weeds of it, right? Eventually, you're sitting there looking at third stringers going up against third stringers. And like you said, they're all important. But my big takeaway from this game is, dare I say, this Dennis Allen defense might be a little bit better at stopping the run than we thought that they were going to be. They might have a little bit more in the tank than maybe we thought they were going to show. And just that alone can help you in a massive way defensively to put you in good positions to now play the pass, where you can see an Al Harris and his coaching style take advantage of things. We saw a defense today that I thought really did a phenomenal job. Only 108 yards rushing the entire day. Davon Booth really got one big run that put him over the top. Outside of that, though, J-Mac, it seems like this scheme, it seems like the second-year guys, the guys that have been here, the guys that understand what Dennis Allen is asking them to do, and maybe what they coach them up on, that technique that has to improve. I thought what we really saw today was a team that knew where to be, knew how they had to play it, and they had the speed to get there. I get it. It's preseason week 1. But being up at training camp as much as I have, that was my takeaway a week ago.
Yeah, keyword speed.
Yeah.
And that's what this defense played with. They played with speed and physicality. First play of the game, DeMarco Jackson destroys Quinshawn Jenkins. I mean, you can hear that all the way on the sideline. Boom. You know what I mean? That's what you want, right? You know, you can sit up there at a press conference at the podium and say, hey, you know what? We're going to be a physical team. That's coach speak.
Yeah.
But until you actually go out there and put it on display. But also, if you're not practicing that way with physical intent, well, then how are you going to be a physical football team? So, I saw a lot of speed. Ruben Hippolyte played well. Jamry Chroma played well. DeMarco Jackson played well. Jack Sanborn. I mean, list goes on and on. Deontay Manning was coming down, filling that alley out of the secondary, coming down on running backs, making physical collisions. So when you have a defense, right, in terms of Dennis Allen, preseason, it's going to be vanilla. It's going to be plain. He's not going to put in a lot of things that they're going to run throughout the season. It allows your guys to play fast. But when you have a fast defense, they're playing faster because now they're not thinking. They're just going out there playing. And that's what we saw today.
But one thing I remember, and Lance Briggs talked about this when we had him on the Chicago Bears podcast, and I think that it really showed today, and it has shown a lot through camp. Maybe you don't have the best talent. Maybe you don't have the elite names. Maybe you don't have a Max Crosby. You don't have a Vita Vea, which we'll talk about that in a little bit. I mean, there could be a Vita Vea. Purdy and Rappaport, we'll talk about that later. But you don't have those guys, right, that you're sitting there going, you know what, you can pencil him in for 10 to 12 sacks a year. But for you to be able to overcome that, you have to get 11 hats to the ball. And this defense looked like one. And again, I understand seconds and thirds. Some of the first string right out there for the Cleveland Browns early on in the game where we saw Deshaun Watson, who, wow, looks like a shell of himself out there. I'll tell you what. But you saw a consistent, if the running back's out on the left side and he gets the ball, there's 4 Bears there.
Yeah.
You see him running up the middle, there's 5 guys there bringing him down. Like, you saw this Bears team really embody, you have to get 11 hats to the ball, and you don't have to have the best talent in the world. Yeah. You can overwhelm somebody by just making sure that everyone is there to help make that tackle.
Yeah, and that just goes back to, I've said it over and over again this offseason. I've said it throughout last year, and we saw proof of it last year, right? It's a coaching staff that really coaches fundamentals, but they coach the details. And they overcoach the details. Yeah. And when you're talking about defense, what am I talking about? Well, details, right? Gap integrity. Everybody has a gap responsibility, especially in a run game. So if that running back's running outside zone, well, then who's A gap, B gap, C gap? Who's filling the alley, D gap? You know what I mean? So that's what you see. Everybody executing at a high level, but really understanding what their responsibility is, and then what are the details within that responsibility based upon that defensive play that's called. And when you have guys all on the same page, moving all at one accord, and you bring that level of physicality to the table, where you see a good defense. So you don't have to have a world beater or a guy that, is going to get you 12 sacks a game, or a guy that's going to automatically get you 200 tackles a year. You got to have a defense all playing on one heartbeat and understanding what their responsibility is within this defense on a play call basis.
The fact that we're even having that conversation, I think it's one that a lot of Bears fans probably would have looked at and said, like I've said it on a podcast, I don't think that this defense is going to go out there and be great. I don't think that they're going to show elite talent, right? And I would love for them to prove me wrong. I would love for them to go out there and be, at a minimum, a top 15 defense, right? But just based off of what we saw last year, I know injuries play a part into that, but even when guys were healthy on the field, right? You look at a guy like Dayo Adangbo. I want to see what that motivated Dayo Adangbo looks like. I know that everybody's got the jokes and stuff like that around him, but like that's a highly paid player that has to make an impact for your team. What we've seen from him at camp, I think, has been very good. And you saw it a little bit on display today. Didn't see a ton, didn't get a ton of run there, but you saw it a little bit on display today where, you see how effective Dayo can be in that run game, just forcing the running back to have to go, okay, I'm running outside zone, but I got to stretch this further than I needed to because Dayo is holding his, as you would say, run integrity on that, right? Like those are the things. He's holding his gap.
Right.
Those are the things that I think I am impressed to see in year 2 of this, that Dennis Allen has kind of gotten this together. And we'll see what the season brings, but it feels very similar to what we saw last year where you were like, you're going to have a defense that overcomes a lot.
Yeah. And
it was a defense that overcame a lot. They came away with multiple takeaways yet again today.
Yeah, and I think, when you look at some of the play of the young guys out there, we mentioned Beanie Bishop. We saw him have a big day.
Oh, yeah.
Deontay Manning.
Now he got a couple bacon, egg, and cheeses thrown his way. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you got to take it. You got to catch it.
It don't matter.
You got to catch it.
They throw you a oop, you got to dunk it. You know what I mean? So they're going to throw him the ball, right? You got to take it. But here's the thing. These guys understand where they're at in terms of the grand scheme of things and where they kind of sit on this roster. Yeah. Whether they make this Chicago Bears roster or another roster throughout the NFL, they know they got to put it on tape. So they got to put good film on tape. And in the NFL, injury creates opportunity. Kobe Bryant goes down. We're all sad about that. We feel bad about it. Obviously, we would love to have him in lineup, but that injury created opportunity for a lot of guys to step in and really make a name for themselves, but also earn a job. Yeah. And they played like it. All these guys are playing like it. They're challenging each other. They're going out there making plays. And, when you have guys that their backs are against the wall, and they're really, they're practicing with intent, and then that practice with intent is actually translating to the game. Well, then you're making it hard for coaches to make tough decisions. And that's what you want to do today. You want to make it hard for these coaches, player personnel department, Ryan Poles included, to make tough decisions on who's going to actually earn that spot on the 53-man roster.
Toughest decision that may end up being made, and I think we saw a slew of names, if you will, go out there and show you something, and we've seen some of these guys perform in the past. It's going to be that running back room, J Mack. Yeah. What's your takeaway early on what you're seeing there? Because, I can go through the names here. You say what you want about Roschon Johnson and what he's been. Roschon looked really good out there. I had the one big run, but showing that he can continue to move the pile. You had a good run out of Savion Ahmed, right? You had a good run out of Coleman Bennett. You had a good run out of Britton Brown. Like a couple of guys who were able to show you, and that you've seen in the past as well with some of these. Yeah, I'm not here just to be a body in camp. I'm here to compete for a position.
Yeah, and either I'm competing for a spot on this team or another team. Like I said, you got to put it on tape. And I remember, our running back room, whenever one of our backs had a good run and it was the next back's opportunity to get in the game, he wanted to rip off a chunk run or an explosive play because you're competing. Yes, we're all friends and we're rooting for each other, but you're going to challenge me. If you're going out there playing well, I have to go out there and play well. And you mentioned all those guys. That running back, that third spot is, it's up for grabs. You look at Roschon, Savion Ahmed, all those guys. You talked about Coleman Bennett, Britton Brown. I think they all performed pretty well today. And I think and the crazy thing is when you look at all these backs, different type of traits in terms of running backs, different qualities, right? You look at Savion Ahmed, a guy that can, I always say, take it 8-8 out the gate. We saw that on the screen, right? Yeah. Turned a 5-yard screen into a touchdown, right? Roschon Johnson's a guy who's going to move the pile, right? He's a pile mover, really good in between the tackles, solid in pass protection, and he's also a dog on special teams. And then Coleman Bennett is just, you saw him a big back, showed some speed, got the end zone as well. And Britton Brown, who's had some good performances, made a name for himself last year in the preseason, and then came on late in the season when his number was called upon and really did well.
And played well. So this is going to be this is going to last throughout the entire preseason in terms of who's going to win that running back spot. And it's really going to come down to special teams. What do you see right now, just how the team is playing? As a former player, as somebody who is, gone through training camp and preseason on a season that ends with you in the Super Bowl, what are you seeing right now traits-wise from this team that you feel is like, okay, this is a team that definitely could take another step in a massive way this year?
The biggest thing that I see, and it's not even on the field, it's what I see on the sidelines. It's what I see at practice on the sidelines. The interactions that these guys talk about is the chemistry that they're building, right? Yeah. The bonding that goes on. And that's the thing that really translates to success on the field. You'll see some teams preseason, you see guys that are not playing, they're dressed in sweatsuits and they're just chewing sunflower seeds, not paying attention to the game, not rooting on their teammates. But I didn't see that today from this team. I saw everybody engaged. I saw Caleb Williams with the headset in his ear in between series, going over there talking to Tyson, going over there talking to Case, going over there talking to Miller Moss. You see a defense that when one guy makes a play, all the starters and the defense in its entirety over there cheering for that particular player that made that play. And that's when you have a good culture and you're building something bigger that's off the field in terms of chemistry. And those are the ingredients to have a successful team.
Yeah, you saw some really good days out of multiple people. And I like you said, whenever the camera would pan, Caleb's talking to one of these guys after a series. Tyson Bagent, 13 for 22, 169 yards. He had a touchdown. He did throw up one interception there that was – let's be real. He stared him down. He looked it in the eye and he threw that ball. That's a tough one. But you bounce back and you score off on that next drive, right? Case Keenum went 9 for 10, a perfect quarterback rating of 158 today. He had 151 yards and 2 touchdowns. Miller Moss, a little up and down there, 3 for 8. He ended up with 48 yards, did not finish with a tutty there, but did lead a couple of scoring drives there. Like you're seeing in all of those, after every one of those guys went down there, guys that don't need it, right? Case Keenum doesn't need Caleb Williams approval with the
right.
career that Case has had, but you still see Caleb over there. Yo, I see what you're doing there. I like that you made this. What'd you see here? What did you like? Those are the things that it feels like take a team from you're a really solid team to like, no, everybody in this locker room really is pulling on the rope in the same direction. And that's how you, when you describe those Super Bowl teams, that's usually what you talk about.
Yeah, and I think, it's interesting when you look at this quarterback room. And I had the opportunity to talk to Caleb today, Tyson, and Case. And looking at the road that all three of those guys took to get into the NFL, right? Obviously, Caleb has been highly touted since he was in high school, number 1 overall pick, comes in, is supposed to be the franchise quarterback. Case Keenum was a franchise quarterback at one point, was on a practice squad, career up and down, and now he's like, I call him Coach Keenum because he's coaching those guys up because of all the experiences that he's had. And then you look at Tyson Bagent, right? Comes out of nowhere, right? Lights up the preseason, right? Makes the roster, makes a name for himself, gets an extension. Nobody even knew who Tyson Bagent was when he first set foot in training camp. So look at the dynamic in that quarterback room. And the one constant amongst all three of those guys is they really do care about each other, right? I asked Tyson today about, what Case meant to that quarterback room, and he said he's the best teammate he had, right? You hear other guys talk about Caleb as being the best teammate that they have, being humble despite all the accolades and attention that he receives. And that's awesome because they're able to push each other, but at the same time, they're indirectly helping each other's development because of that culture and that bond that they have within that quarterback room.
The funniest thing out of all of this, and hearing that, about Caleb pretty consistently is, that's all the things that they said about Caleb Williams pre-draft. It seems like Jaden Daniels is ripping them off one by one. You know what I mean?
That's crazy, right?
Hey, you can't wear 5. Nobody's wearing 5 around
crazy?
me.
Like all the talk about Caleb. We talked about it. It was like, man, we drafted Caleb, but we drafted Caleb. What is he going to be like? He's going to be a prima donna. He's going to want to talk to guys. He's going to be cussing guys out. Nothing's his fault. Complete opposite, man. Caleb is fantastic, man. So I'm just thrilled to see. And I asked Caleb about this, this is the first time that he's had the same system 2 years in a row. All these quarterbacks, Tyson as well.
J Mack, this is probably the first time there's been the same system 2 years in a row, and the coaches actually cared about the quarterback because, in theory, Nagy was 2 weeks in a row, or 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
But this is the first time, probably since Jay, that a quarterback has had the same system 2 years in a row.
Yeah, that's crazy. When I asked Caleb about that, he lit up about having the opportunity to play in the same system consecutively.
Yeah, we're going to take a quick break. We want to hear from you, the fans, 312-332-3776. Of course, your thoughts on the preseason game, but also who showed up for you? Who stood out to you today that you're like, okay, that's a name I'm going to be watching for over the next couple of days and hope that they make this roster in the long run. This is the post-game show. Jason McKie, Pat the Designer.
Looking for time to throw. Got hit as he delivers a strike down to the middle of the 50, to the 45 and the 40 before he spilled. And that connection has been prominent all throughout training camp. Caden Davis, the former Brown, after Bagent got hit on the play, delivers a strike and the biggest play of the day for the Bears, 41 yards.
Tyson Bagent to Caden Davis. Just like Jeff said there, J Mack, that has been a connection the entire camp, and you were kind of waiting to see, okay, is this going to be something on the field? And Caden Davis put a game on display today. You saw him 4 receptions, 88 yards before halftime.
Yeah,
what could he have done in a full game on that one, J Mac?
It's just an underdog, right? Taking advantage of an opportunity. And this week, Tyson Bagent talked about Caden Davis. He talked about them being 2 Division II guys that developed a connection out there at practice, and that's making plays. So I'm excited to see how he'll build upon this performance. This is just, game 1, but here's a guy that's showing you he does have the ability to make plays in this league.
We want to hear guys that stood out to you. 312-332-3776. Pat the Designer. Jason McKie in here for the post-game show. Let's go out to James in Gurnee and hear what James' thoughts were on Bears football being back. James, what's going on?
Let's go, boys. Bears are back. Yeah, I don't get it. It's time to overreact in preseason, man. So we do at 53. I've been watching this team for years, baby. Let's go.
Who'd you like today, James? Who stood out to you?
I like 97. Lynch, he really stood out to me today.
Yes,
man.
sir.
He was getting penetration. He knocked the ball down. I like to see that. I like to see the linebacker core is going to be – they're going to be good. So I'm hoping. I didn't like – now, again, I know nobody's in football shape yet. I'm 53, so we had 2-a-days. Your toenails would hurt. I know I haven't played high school football, but still. So they're not in football shape yet. That's something that no major injuries, but I did not like the amount of pressure we didn't get on that first team the first couple series. It's still going to be an issue, but I'm hoping with the quickness that these linebackers have, they'll be able to shed that guards and the pulls and maybe get to a little better position run game like you guys said. But, yeah, offense is going to be tough, man. There's a lot of boys that can catch a run. So, yeah, but for game one, we're okay. No major injuries. But, yeah, I'm a little worried about the secondary. I think Muhammad looked pretty good and bad, but that kid's not scared out there playing the toughest position maybe on defense. So, I mean, it's game one. I'm going to overreact. I was yelling a little bit. Bajent looked – remember, the first drive always is something we need to get a little bit – we got to put some more points up in the first quarter. Again, I know it's game one, but just – the Bears back. I love you guys, man, and I'd like to listen to what you have to say.
Sounds good, James. Thanks for calling
Thank
in,
you,
man.
James.
Listen. Honestly, I love the fact that he started with Lynch in there. There's a lot of names he got to.
Didn't I just
but
talk,
you
didn't
on
I
the
just,
walk-in, you said, "Listen,
that.
I know everybody loves Jordan Vandenberg, and I love him too, but this James Lynch kid, he's got something for me."
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, right? His name may not show up in the sack column, but he's exactly what you want from the defensive tackle position, right? You want an interior disruptor, right? Pass game and run game, right? You want TFLs, tackle for losses. You want him to get pressure and get in the middle of that pocket, put pressure on the quarterback, and that's what he did. He was all over the field, played physical. Yeah. He almost got home and got a couple sacks. He was just short, but the pressure was still there. And that's something that we've talked about. Everybody here in Chicagoland has talked about with his defense. Can we generate consistent pressure on a quarterback? Can we take stress off the secondary, right? And this is a team that, defensively, that Ryan Poles has built where? He's built from the back end, from the secondary to the front, right? And we've talked about that most teams will build from the trenches on back.
Yeah.
But Ryan Poles did it a different way. Okay, so now collectively, right, rotationally, however you have to do it, how do you generate consistent pressure on the quarterback, right, so that the secondary doesn't have to spend all day back there, trying to cover receivers and make it tough for a quarterback. And, you have guys that have gone out there like today, and I'm not saying they're a finished product, but guys who, took a step forward in making a case for themselves. James Lynch being one of those guys.
That's all you're hoping to do there, right? Like, for me, with Jordan Vandenberg and having that conversation, with James Lynch, guys that we have seen in camp that have looked good, that have shown you something. I love how Dennis Allen broke it down. He said, when you see a guy and you start him off with the threes and you keep saying his name, you got to find a spot for him on the twos. When you put him on the twos and you keep saying his name and he's still showing you something, you got to get him out there with the ones. And if he shows you something there, you might have a player. And that was him describing what Jordan Vandenberg has been. We've talked about that with a couple of names on this team. Xavier Thomas early on. Now, we didn't get to see him play today because of his injury, but like how he's moved up through the process pretty quickly here. James Lynch. Like, there are a lot of guys that you look at and you say, maybe they're not stars, J Mack. I would say don't expect to find any stars early on in the preseason. But can you be a consistent name that we go, that dude, he made another play. Yeah. James Lynch all day today. He got the tip pass. I believe it was on Shador. Tipped another one that could have been an interception. Like, he continued to find opportunities to impact the game. Doesn't mean we're going to be dubbing him a superstar by the end, although I ain't going to lie to you. I'm kind of with James. Overreaction. I guess it'll be Sunday tomorrow. We'll all be losing our minds after the 34-10 game. But truly, what you saw, I think, on display on a pretty consistent basis was when guys were called upon and they needed to show something, they were like, well, let me take advantage of this one opportunity that may be the only opportunity I'm going to get.
Yeah, and I think, another guy we got to highlight, and obviously we know what he did because he put on a good performance, is Jamari Croma. I mean, he had 2 sacks, 3 tackles for loss, 2 quarterback hits. He was all over the place and showed you, good pass rushing traits. Right, what are those? He showed you good get off. He showed you the ability. He got a field and he redirected and got I think that was the 2nd sack he was able to come down with. So, yeah, when you're trying to find guys that can affect the quarterback, he's a guy that took a step today, preseason environment, but he's a guy that put that ability on tape.
Yeah, you want to talk about a name that stood out. You're hitting the nail on the head right there. Let's take a listen in to what Jeff Joniak was talking about.
Snap is low. Watson retrieves, stands in the pocket, goes to throw. Ball came out, and it's recovered. I think it's Jamry Chroma. And the Bears are going to take the ball away. First takeaway of the year after leading the NFL in takeaways. Sack strip of Deshaun Watson on a 4th and 2, and the Bears will have the ball with 10:47 to go here in the second quarter.
And this was him catching Dillon Gabriel, who you want to talk about. Wow. Catching Dillon Gabriel completely off guard.
Some of these guys are not the most vocal, but they lead by example, and he's one of them. Chroma off the edge, and down he goes. Sack of Dillon Gabriel. We saw it coming from up here a mile away. He beat the right tackle, came in for his second sack, and this man is having himself a preseason game.
Listen, say what you want. Poor Dillon Gabriel, he's out there fighting for his life. He gave up a couple of sacks, you know what I mean? I think that was one of them where he just went, please don't hit me, because he saw his right tackle die.
It's called a business decision. Do I really want to stand in his pocket, right? And do I really want to stand in his pocket? Business decision. No, I'm just go down. Let me just go down.
Yeah.
Let me just go down.
It was pretty obvious early on that Dillon Gabriel wanted no parts of this Bears defensive line, and Chroma was all over that. But you saw, again, like, you understand that it's versus 2s and 3s, but you saw a guy that continues to pop out on tape. That's going to force Dennis Allen to have to give him some more looks when you get into practice.
I don't care who is against. When you're out there, right, and they're keeping score, it counts. I don't care if it's the 2s, the 3s, the 4s, or whatever. Whoever they pair you against, you gotta go out there and make plays, and that's what he did. And hopefully a young guy like that who's trying to make a name for himself, hopefully he builds upon that performance. You have a lot of opportunities coming up. You got the joint practice with the Bengals, and then obviously the second preseason game. So a lot of these guys will have an opportunity to build upon their performance from today.
Let's go out to Chase on the south side and hear what his thoughts were for the game. And apparently he has a question for you, J Mack. Chase, what's going on, brother?
Hey, guys, what's going on? Long time no hear.
Hey, man,
Yes,
we're back and better than ever, baby. Greeny. I'm joking. I kid. Shout out to Greeny. Don't take my job away. What's going on, Chase? How you feeling?
Not much, man. Hey, J Mack, I got to ask you something, right?
Yes.
So, as far as I'm concerned, you was on that that Lovey team, that 05 and 016 that went to the Super Bowl, as far as I'm concerned, right?
Yep.
So, I want to ask you something. Would you compare this iteration of the Bears right now, the Ben Johnson era, to that in an offensive version of the Lovely Bears? The reason why I'm saying that is because I see similarities of both situations. You remember in 05, you guys started off really rough, and Mike Brown made some comments, and you guys won like 9 straight. You lost the Carolina divisional round. Mm-hmm. Seattle went to the Super Bowl. Following season, a lot of people thought that team was lucky. Can they do it again? Next thing you know, you guys won 13 games, went to the Super Bowl. Now, I'm not saying we're going to the Super Bowl, but I'm seeing similarities where we got a top offense, mediocre defense, similar like we got a top, just like back in the Lovely days, you had a top grade defense, but a below average offense. And it's kind of similar. And I just wanted to ask you, do you see the similarities as far as we have an offensive version of the version of Lovey? I'm not trying to compare Lovey to Ben Johnson, but it's kind of, I'm just asking, do you see, because I remember you talking about culture. So I was wondering, do you see the similarity to both teams? I just wanted to ask you that.
Thanks, Chase.
Just from what I've seen, right, I'm not around these guys 24/7. I am around some of the guys. I obviously know them personally. Culture-wise, from what I've seen, from the interactions at practice, from the interactions they talk about at the press conference, from what I saw today on the sideline, culture-wise, yes, I do see similarities, right? My team, yes, we worked for the Bears, but at the same time, our kids grew up with each other. Yeah. We're godparents to each other's kids. We all grew up together. We were big kids playing a game of football back then, so we grew up together, and we have a strong bond till this day. So, we don't talk about it just being chemistry. We're family, to no end. And I see that with a lot of these guys with, at every press conference, you see them talking about another player and what they mean to this team and what that player means to them personally. So from a standpoint of that, yes, I do see a lot of similarities. And when you talk about offensively, I think totally different. I think we were a more of a hard-nosed, rugged type
Crazy
offense.
shot from Chase there. He said below average offense. The offense was pretty good, actually.
It is what it is, man. It is what it is, man. Everybody's entitled.
Crazy shot.
Everybody's entitled to their own opinion.
I think he basically said that fullback position was a hold, and that was crazy.
Say what he want to say. The proof's in the pudding, so it doesn't matter. But no, totally different styles of offense. I think run game wise, we were one of the top offenses in terms of running the football. Ben Johnson's offense has been one of the top in terms of running the football, but it's the way in which that run game is generated. Yeah. Ben uses a lot of creativity, right? We never had a Rasheed Davis lead up on a linebacker. You saw Maurice Alexander insert and run like an ISO on a linebacker today. Like we didn't do that. It was more traditional power, traditional outside zone duos, gap scheme runs and stuff like that, where you see Ben using a lot of 13 personnel. We didn't use 13 personnel. We did have 3 really good tight ends and a lot of good tight ends like they have. They got a ton of good tight ends. And back then, we had a great tight ends, Desmond Clark, John Gilmore. Greg Olsen was in the mix. Yeah. All these guys were really good players. So offensively, two good running teams. I would say we compare in that aspect. Different way of doing things in terms of running the football. And then, man, with what they got a ton of speed, man, and we had a ton of speed too.
Fast.
We
the
had
defense is so fast.
And I would say, receiver wise, it's crazy, but it's very similar in terms of the type of receivers that you have in that room, right? Yeah. When I look at Roma Dunze, I look at like a Muhsin Muhammad, bigger, strong, fast receiver. When I look at Luther Burden, I look at like a guy who had the same type of ability and quickness like a Rasheed Davis. Yeah. Rasheed Davis was amazing in the slot because he had that short area quickness. He had that burst. We see that from Luther Burden, right? And then you look at just like long speed. You can talk about Khalif Raymond. You could talk about Bernard Berrien. Like we had just a lot of similarities. He's got a lot of different types of receivers that can do a lot of different things. And Ben utilizes all those guys in certain ways, just like we did.
Would you say the ability to put pressure? Because I think kind of, and not to ask for Chase, but it feels like what he was trying to ask there was like that ability to force the other team to feel the pressure of we can't mess up.
Yeah,
it's similar to what your team was because with the Bears, and that's what I mean with you guys' team defensively.
Listen, you don't want to go there.
If you don't want to go there, if the run game was up, it was over.
Yeah, and there's there were times we had some horrible games offensively. There were times where I used to look over.
J Mack, you made a heck of a tackle in that Cardinals game. Hey, I ain't gonna stop with you, bro. You made a heck of a tackle.
You got to be a football player, man. But here's the thing. You have to understand, right? We're one team, but at the same time, it's still like offense and defense. So you're still like two teams. So I remember there were times where we had some awful games and we couldn't get anything going, couldn't even get a first down, and you're coming off the sideline, look over at Urlacher, and he's like, man, can I even get a cup of Gatorade? Like, man, we're that bad. We're that bad. Defensively, I think you have guys like Adewale Ogunleye, you have Tommy Harris, Tank Johnson, Alex Brown, Mark Anderson. Those guys are getting to the quarterback. Yeah. Totally different. You got Brian Urlacher, there's only one. Lance Briggs should be right there in the gold jacket with him. Peanut Tillman, Nate Vasher. Mike Brown on the back end, Chris Harris. You can, Daniel Manning. All these guys. Ricky Manning. We had the Manning brothers back there. Like, it was a crazy defense.
I had Mannings like they got souls.
This is the thing. We knew offensively it was a matter of if we scored 21 points, we were going to win because our defense wasn't giving up anything.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's why I say totally different teams because this defense is not there yet.
Yeah.
They don't have those type of guys.
But the similar pressure, right? I think that this offense and what Ben Johnson has built can make life easier for this defense, right? The takeaways that the Bears got today, you're capitalizing on them. You're scoring touchdowns, not 3. I think if you get that throughout the season this year, you're talking about what Ben is talking about, where you're blowing teams out. And J Mack, right? Like, if you look up at halftime and you're like, it is 35-6. Yeah. I'll see you next week. You're going to get some teams that have that mindset.
Right. And you look at this team last year. This team was offensively driven.
Yeah.
You look at our teams. We were defensively and special teams driven.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So totally different dynamics, totally different players. But at the end of the day, you have 2 great coaches that led those teams.
100%.
And I'm just excited in year 2. Just think, right? Let's just peel back these layers. Like Ben Johnson's first year. Right, everything's new to him. He's only been was a coordinator. All of a sudden, he puts on that head coaching hat, and he doesn't just have to worry about the offense. He's got to worry about the entire team in its entirety. At first time doing it, what does he do? Go out there and wins the NFC North.
Yeah,
goes to the playoffs. Yeah. It's amazing. So now, just imagine him looking at his body of work from year one, and I know he's not going to do that because he doesn't look at the past or last year, but him getting more comfortable in a head coaching role, it's just going to be that much better because we already know how psychotic he is about offense.
You want to know how comfortable he is, J Mack? Did anybody else think the end was coming when he smiled?
Well,
I saw Ben Johnson smile twice today on the sideline. I don't think Ben Johnson smiled twice. Caleb Williams threw a game winner over the Green Bay Packers, and Ben went, hey, you know what? Now, on to next week, we got the Rams.
Listen, I've never seen – and, yeah, he did – even after the interceptions by Bishop, he was smiling. I was like, wow, Ben smiled. But before that, when he was on the sideline, he went to go grab that headset. You would have thought it was a playoff game.
Yeah.
I mean, he was so intense. Like, he burned a hole through the headset as he went to go grab it because he was staring down. I was about to say, Coach, what the headset do to you, bro? Preseason, man. Like, he looked like he was in playoff form. Well, he was intense.
All I can think is season to season, right? We played the Bills last year. And was the Bills the one we blew out? I think the Bills were the one we blew them out. And we're sitting there watching the Bills game, and I'm like,
no reaction.
He hasn't smiled.
Yeah,
in fact, he looks pissed that he's up.
Right.
I'm so thrown off right now.
if you were to watch that game and there was no display in terms of time on the clock and what quarter it was, you would know and the score was, you would know whether the Bears are winning or losing or what quarter it was.
Exactly.
Because he's not going to show emotion. He's even killed, but he did show some emotion today. It was cool to see his personality come through, congratulating the players. Like, he was happy. And it's good, man, when you're executing at a high level, guys are playing well, guys are counting on the play well. You see young guys playing well. You've been in training camp every day. It's Groundhog Day every day. You're going to get the same guys every day, eating the same dang food every day. Well, they got to stay to our cafeteria. We eat the same food every day.
I was going to say, J-Man.
Yeah, but when you're doing the same thing every day, you break up the monotony, but then you see guys going out there executing, right? Executing the scheme that you're implementing. You see guys really, executing detail-oriented things that you've gone over in meetings, things that you've gone over on the grease board and walk through on the field, and to see it in action as a head coach, that'll make you crack a smile.
Yeah, it was very good to see who helped themselves the most today, in your opinion. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back after 312-332-3776. Pat the Designer, Jason McKie, sitting here on the post-game show. We'll be right back.
On the Bears 5 on the right hash, going from south to north as we look at Soldier Field. Sanders quickly to the line of scrimmage. Right takes, hands off, pressure in the backfield. They stand him up. They turn him away. Good night on fourth down. Bears are going to take over on downs. Terrific push up front and penetration all over the map.
Bears did a phenomenal job in third and fourth and short situations. The defense showing a little more teeth than maybe some people thought that they had. Pat the Designer, Jason McKie, here on the post-game show. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. If you are listening online or on the radio, you can always tap in on the YouTube as well. Go over there, give us a like, and subscribe to the page. All right, J Mack, we were in the break and talking about this, and I kind of want to get your perspective on this. Not to say that we need cold water on day one of preseason here. But with everything that we're all excited about, and the thing that we know that's going to be probably the most consistent is Ben Johnson's scheme, what can you actually take away from what we saw today that you saw Ben Johnson doing either on the sidelines or how he called the game? And, of course, Antoine Randall called that game in the second half.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to see it's vanilla. It's a vanilla game plan. They're not going to give you too much. They're not going to have a lot of motions and shifts, things that we see. We have seen Ben utilized throughout the season, but they're doing that. This is why, because they want guys to go out there and play fast. So basic scheme, easy play calls for guys to remember, guys to go out there and execute. And that's what you're going to see. Now, defensively, I thought we would see that from Dennis Allen. But,
Dennis was running some stuff.
I saw, Beanie Bishop on a corner blitz. I'm like, we seeing corner blitz in the preseason? So, hey, and I get it, too, because it's like now it's like, offense and defense, right? They're kind of in two different situations. Defense, especially on the back end, injuries have riddled that secondary. Yeah. So I think Dennis Allen's like, hey, you know what? I'm going to have to make some calls and utilize some things we're going to use throughout the season to see who can execute it. Yeah. Whereas on the offensive side of the ball, you got a track team in that wide receiver room. I asked Caleb about that, the 4x1 team, and who would make the 4x1 team based upon all that speed. But, Dennis, he has to figure out who can play. who can execute a scheme. Whereas Ben is like, hey, you know what? We're gonna go out, we'll play fast. I got plenty of guys. I got plenty of receivers. I'm gonna scheme guys open. We're gonna work our matchups. We're gonna utilize all of our, our key things that we want to use. But we're gonna save it for the season.
It was good to see, and I think you need to see Dennis show a little bit more or call a little bit more there, just because these guys need to know what that play is going to look like in real game situation, J Mack. Like, it's easy to call it in practice, and not to say that you want to mess up in practice, but that's a place where you can mess up and it doesn't hurt you. Getting those reps, I think, in game, and yeah, we can say, well, he's not going to be out there. We'll have Kyler Gordon, we'll have Tyreek Stevenson, we'll have Jalen Johnson. Those are all guys that have been banged up. Doesn't mean that they're going to get banged up this year, but it does mean you got to your 2s and your 3s and your 4s real quick. Nashawn Wright came into camp last year as a guy that we were like, he looked good, but he's not going to play.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, we were counting on Nashawn Wright on 4th and goal on very important downs to try and keep guys out of the end zone.
He was making plays.
And he was making plays. And I think that's the part why I love that, on the offensive side, definitely was more vanilla. But on the defensive side, call things that these guys are going to have to see in a real game, especially when you got a rookie out there like Malik Muhammad, who was up and down today, had some really good moments, had some tough moments where he got beat, especially when you have rookies out there like Jordan Vandenberg, who, as he's rising through the ranks, it feels like he might be somebody you need to count on.
And you're going to get beat, right, especially as a rookie, right? New game, new city, new speed of the game. At the end of the day, what is that for a coach? That's coachable opportunities to coach them up, to get them right.
Yeah.
And really to see how they rebound from making a bad play. Do they come back and forget about it and make a play? And that's the NFL.
Who do you think helped themselves the most today? 312-332-3776. Vandenberg, Chroma, Beanie Bishop, Malik Muhammad, Salvon Ahmed, Caden Davis. Was it somebody else? There was a lot of names for you to choose from today. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back right after this. Pat the Designer, Jason McKie, post-game show.
Going from south to north as we look at Soldier Field. Sanders quickly to the line of scrimmage. Wright takes, hands off, pressure in the backfield. They stand him up. They turn him away. Good night on 4th down. Bears are going to take over on downs. Terrific push up front and penetration all over the map.
Plenty of penetration all day today, J Mack.
And penetration all over the map.
Plenty of penetration. I mean, the Bears defense did a great job at, especially in the second and third quarter, at creating a ton of penetration. Your girl calls me Pat the Penetrator.
Really?
So whenever I
TMI.
I mean, TMI on that.
Stick to football.
But we're talking about football, J.
I want to talk about football.
We're talking about football, J.
I want to talk about football.
I feel like you're concerned right now.
I came here to talk about Bears football.
We are talking football, J. Mack.
All right. Back
and
on top.
penetration all over the map.
Easy, Joniak. Easy, Joniak.
The best part about this is you hearing that. I see your head pop up like, what'd he say? I know on the sidelines you were like, I'm not going to let him live this down.
Then it'll be like, down to J Mack. You know what I want to say. I can't say.
Somebody who's making a big impact on the field all day that we haven't gotten into, and I think a player that needs to be talked about was Beanie Bishop.
Yes.
He was somebody who, if you want to talk about the grand scheme of this thing and raising the floor, that was the player today that I was like, okay, this Al Harris scheme might still work. Do I think the Bears are going to get the same amount of takeaways they got last year? Probably not. But guys are going to be in the right place. Guys are going to be at the right time. And I know you can't see it possibly all the time where you're at, J Mack, but there were multiple times where the camera panned to Al Harris and he's like, look at the eyes. Look at the eyes. You see it. You got it. He's letting them know it's available to you.
So here's the thing. The takeaway meter from Coach Harris, like we talk about before every game, was 2 today.
Yeah.
They got 2.
They got
2. And even at practice, right, Al Harris is the guy. Like, at practice, I always say, like, you're the 12th man on the field. He's on the field, like, with the defense on the back end. And he's, like, looking at the defense. He's got his arms out there, and he's like putting
he's still
energy,
playing.
Yeah, he's, like, putting energy into the secondary. Like, he's obviously was one heck of a player. Had the opportunity to be his teammate my rookie year when he was in Philly, and then played against him for a long time when he was there in Green Bay. But to see him go from being a really good player to a really good coach is awesome. So the takeaways, I think they're still going to be there when you have a coach like Al Harris who can not only coach these guys, but he can give them experience because he's gone through a lot of these same situations that these guys are going through.
This is what Beanie Bishop was able to do today.
Brings Floria in motion to the right. 3rd down and 8, 45-yard line. Play clock winding down to 2, 1. Snap is back. Protection's good. Sanders taps the ball, floats it too high. Overthrow, intercepted with the ball. Beanie Bishop to the 40 of the Browns and belted out of bounds in front of the Bears bench. And Beanie Bishop Jr. will celebrate with his new teammates. Here's a throw to the near side. Intercepted. Sitting down in the zone, and it's Beanie Bishop again. 2nd interception. Throw it right to him. Pitch and catch with the young quarterback. And the Bears have taken it away again at 9:03 to go in the game. 24-10.
Really showed out today. Now listen, the biggest takeaway from those 2 picks was Beanie can catch. You know what I mean? Dylan threw up. Dylan gave up and died on that play.
Here you go.
Shador throwing up the bacon, egg, and cheese.
Hey,
but J Mack, you got to make the play. You got to make the play. It's not to discredit him.
I don't care if he handed it off to Beanie.
We saw that last year.
He made the play. He's only been here he got 2 picks, and he's been here for all of 2 minutes.
Yeah. And you know what it felt like when I saw him, be the name that kept popping up. I went, that's kind of like when CJ showed up on the Bears, right? CJ Gardner-Johnson showed up on the Bears, and you just went, oh, he's going to be really impactful over the next couple of weeks. I'm really glad that we picked that guy up. It may not be a name that you think, coming out of camp or whatever it is going to be a massive impact, but we probably weren't thinking that way about DeMarco Jackson. Now we're living here in today's day and age where DeMarco Jackson's not only re-signed, but he's an impact player that you need this upcoming season.
Without a doubt. And it just goes back to, guys making the most of their opportunities. DeMarco Jackson's a guy who I would say benefited from having a really good coach that can develop him. Keeping him involved, keeping him ready, right? Because the first half of the season, he was in a sweatsuit. Number was called upon. We had some injuries in the linebacker room. And then he was able to get in there and make a lot of plays and make a name for himself, earn an extension this offseason, and now he's going to be one of the key components of this defense. Yeah,
and he made some massive plays the day early on. You mentioned it. The hit he put on Quinshon
Man, the first play of the game. First play of the game.
I literally went, Quinshon going to get up?
Yeah, it was set the tone.
It's that excitement, and I think this is why you look at a guy like Beanie Bishop or DeMarco Jackson, whatever it is. I feel really good about the coaching on this team. I'm not saying that it is going to be a perfect world that we're living in here, but the coaches are going to put whatever the talent is in the best position to be successful, and they will adjust that one way or the other based on the level of talent that the player puts out there. Of course, you want the most talented people on the field. But sometimes you end up in a situation where, you're not out there with Cam Lewis or with Kobe Bryant. And you got a Beanie Bishop on the field. Is he going to be ready when his number is called? This coaching staff as a whole, Al Harris, Ben Johnson, Antoine Randall, who called the second half, they have done a really good job of preparing this team for the moment when their number is called. And I think that's going to be something massive that they're going to be able to build off of.
Yeah, and I think, we're talking about DeMarco Jackson. Look at Devin Bush. He didn't play a lot, but when you look at
that backfield quick, though.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. The speed is there. And Devin Bush going against his whole team, that was something that wasn't talked about. That was preseason.
Maybe a little beef in there. He probably wanted to get out there versus Dylan.
Animosity.
He probably went to DA and was like, let me get one more rep.
He's in.
Let me get one more rep.
Listen. There's Cleveland and there's Chicago. He's good where he's at. He's through that. I don't care. Get me out of Cleveland.
Yeah. Are you Joakim Noah on us right now?
Listen, man.
Are you joking? Who wants to go to Cleveland?
Listen. When we used to play Cleveland, oh, man.
We got to go
to
Cleveland?
First off, when you're a player, you look at the schedule. Where are we going? Oh, we got to go to Cleveland. Oh, man. Room service, staying in the hotel. And that's direct shots fired at Cleveland. Sorry, I'm sorry. That's
Chicago
just what
been
Cleveland
firing
is.
shots at Cleveland for about 20 years now, and I'm here for it.
Cleveland.
Hey, we're going to keep this thing moving along on the other side. Going to take a quick break here. Want to hear from you. Phone lines are open, 312-332-3776. Who helped themselves the most today? Vandenberg, Chroma, Beanie Bishop, Malik Muhammad, somebody that we maybe need to talk a little bit more about. And on the other side, I want to talk about a potential addition that could definitely help this defense if the Bears were to go out and get him. We'll talk about all that more coming up next. Jason McKie, Pat the Designer, post-game show.
And penetration all over the map. J.P. Richardson in motion as a blocker. The handoff to the rookie running back sprinting left. It is in for the touchdown. Touchdown Bears. Coleman Bennett worked hard to get to the front left pylon. A 3-yard touchdown run. Bears 33, Browns 10.
Chicago Bears offense was all over the field today. Coleman Bennett just one of the players that was able to make an impact and make a little bit of a name for themselves. Let us know who you feel was able to make a name for themselves. 312-332-3776. All right, J Mack, we got to stay on this game, but I do want to take a quick detour with you here because what we saw early in the game versus the number one offense was yet again kind of like, okay, they're creating pressure, they're figuring some things out, but you might still need some help from that interior position. And Mike Garafolo gave a very, very interesting update on a very big-name player, Vita Vea, who is – I mean, the hold-in situation down in Tampa, I mean, there's a list of guys on that list at this point. It's starting to look like a CVS receipt of guys. It's just like, yeah, bro, I don't want to do it no more. Here's what Mike Garafolo had to say on it.
Rich, the big nose tackle will not be playing tonight. He hasn't been practicing because he is upset with the fact that he's entering the final year of his deal. Set to make around $18 million this upcoming season, with the top of the defensive tackle market now at $38 million, and a few other guys that he feels his production is comparable with also getting deals in the $30+ million range. Vea was here with the team at the joint practice the other day. He was not wearing his jersey. He had it tucked into the back of his pants, which a lot of times is an indication to a team. I've seen this with a player holding out or holding in. They won't wear the team logo or anything to that end. So it's clear Vea is upset. I did post on social media about his production, according to Pro Football Focus, and a few of his teammates, and he as well, reposted it and said, yeah, this is the point we're trying to make on this one. So my understanding is there has been communication between the sides. A deal is not imminent. Teams have called the Buccaneers to see if they're interested in trading them. Amongst them, I'm told, is the Bills, the Bears, the 49ers, and there are a few others as well. But the Buccaneers continue to say internally they are not trading Vita Vea.
You can say it all you want. Eventually, he's got to get on the field.
Standing on business.
Hey, you know what I mean?
Stand on business. All 347 pounds of standing on business of Vita Vea.
31 years old for Vita Vea, currently on a $71 million deal, making 17 average. The top of that market, Jalen Carter, of course, just set at about 38. J Mack. Hearing that the Bears have checked in on him, number one, I instantly get excited. My ears perk up, and I go, okay, so we're having the conversations, which means we understand that defensive interior might be a question mark this year. With what the expectation is of this team, though, J Mack, would you want to go get a player like Vita Vea who I don't know where people, I look at the PFF stuff, even just seeing Vita Vea last year. Some people are trying to talk about him like he's fallen off a cliff. No. Vita Vea still looks pretty good on a football field.
I mean, you cannot have enough good defensive lineman, and you got a guy who's a difference maker in the run game, has the ability to still get to the quarterback, even though he's a guy that's north of 300 pounds. Like he's an impact player, and is automatically going to improve your defense when he's added to your roster. So yeah, if like I always say with Ryan Poles, if the dollars make sense and it makes sense, then hey, why not?
I think here's the part for me, right? That and not to count nobody's pockets. But it is one of those situations where you've spent the dollars,
right,
and we've scratched our head. You've spent the dollars and we've gone, that don't make sense. You know what I mean? You spent big money last year on a guy like Dio Adangbo. You bring in Grady Jarrett. Again, not to count nobody's pockets, get your bag. I hope that everybody is getting a bag out here. But with that bag comes expected production. With Dio Adangbo last year, we didn't get that expected production. Hopefully we see more of that this season. With Grady Jarrett last year, we didn't get that expected production. Hopefully we see more of that this season. Both of those guys dealt with health issues. I think they have a better chance of having that production this year. But there's a big guy that is disgruntled and probably just kind of sees the writing on the wall with the Buccaneers organization right now, that I think if you brought him in, J Mack, not to say this defense goes from, whatever it was last year, 27 all the way to 1, but a defense that maybe gets itself into that top 15 or 15 to 18 range with an offense that Ben Johnson is planning on having, J Mac, that's how you create those Super Bowl conversations.
Yeah, I mean, look at what the Rams did. They were able to figure out a way to get – they got Myles Garrett.
It don't make no sense. You're just kicking money down the road.
Yeah, I mean, hey, at the end of the day, it's like, hey, we got to – it's about now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's about winning now. We're trying to win a Super Bowl now. It's about being in the present. And I think if you – like I said, if you have an opportunity to bring a guy that has the ability to be a playmaker against the run and still have an impact on getting to the quarterback, creating pressure on the quarterback. I mean, this guy is like – you can't even move this guy.
Yeah. And
he's athletic. And he's just going to enhance the overall ability, and he's going to transcend your defense because you bring in a guy like this. There's a lot of things that you do defensively that you couldn't do before without this guy. Yep. So, yeah, if it makes sense, I think, hey, let's do it. But, I don't know. I think it's awesome, though, putting the jersey in the back pocket. Yeah, stand on business.
Was that something? We all really didn't do a lot of hold-ins when you guys were playing still, but, like, Is the logo like right on the back? Like I was confused on why he was tucking the jersey just in the back.
It. He's standing on business. Like I'm not wearing this. Why?
But are you hiding the logo? Like, what did that mean? Like, I get like clearly
hiding the logo. He's telling you I'm not playing until I get paid.
I hear, but like clearly
he should have worn it as a headband. He should have like tied it around his head. Like,
oh, so they're saying he just had the jersey tucked in his waist. Oh,
yeah. He says I'm not wearing the jersey.
I thought
because you don't give me my money, no jersey, no money, no jersey.
I thought
no money, no jersey.
I thought what he was saying was he had the jersey on, but like there's a Buccaneers logo right on the back.
The jersey's tucked in his back like it's a quarterback towel. No money, no jersey. He should have worn it around his head like a headband. No money, no jersey. But you know what? You look good in the Bears jersey.
He would look phenomenal in the Bears
What number
jersey.
What number you want? What number is wear? 50? You got 50.
Hey, well, Grady Jarrett got 50, Jay.
Grady. You might have to be 51. Might have to be 51, Grady.
That's one of them situations, Jay.
I love Grady, but hey, look him. Yeah, he's 50. Yeah.
Hey, you gotta do him like I said when Justin Fields left. His body wasn't even cold before Jalen Johnson snatched that one up off of him. You know what I mean? Jalen Johnson.
Grady, 51 look good on you.
They were like the Chicago Bears are trading. 51. Hey, let me get one. Let me get one.
I'm a Grady Jarrett fan. Still am. But hey, Grady would probably be, here you go, yeah, 50 big fella. If it's going to help us get to the Super Bowl, I'll wear 51.
Well, and I think that's why this is a conversation, in my opinion, right? The things that can change that you already have on your team. Yes, the future money you're going to have to figure out. But how much better is Montez Sweat with Vita Vea next to him? How much better is Jordan Vandenberg in a rotation with Vita Vea tiring out the center that he's got to go up against?
How much better are linebackers with Vita Vea? I mean, he's going to command a double team. That means somebody's free.
One of the greatest things Yurko ever said on the Chicago Bears podcast was, we assigned Tremaine Edmonds, we assigned TJ Edwards, and he was like, you better find some defensive linemen. These linebackers are going to be fighting for their lives.
Now listen, when Brian Urlacher, right, he had, all these guys, these big guys in front of him.
Yeah.
So he's able to run and hit. He was instinctive and he was athletic, and they were able to occupy blockers, and he can make plays. And that's what you want. You want to be able to free up your linebackers so they can make plays. And we have the speed at linebacker like we have. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hey, Ted Williams, come on, man. It was unbelievable. Like that's why Urlacher, he started off, it was, just having the ability to make the plays, right? His makeup. You look at his athleticism, look at his instincts, and you look at his ability to diagnose plays. And then you have guys in front that are occupying blockers and allowing him to free and roam and make plays. Got to go, Jack.
One of my favorite stories from Bears history all time is Wilbur Marshall had to slide over. I think he told this on like an NFL, one of the documentaries they've done about the '85 Bears. He had to slide over into Singletary's spot one day, and he said the hole was so massive on the offensive line, you couldn't help but sack the quarterback. It was like a golden light from heaven came down upon him. He's like, no wonder Mike getting all these hits and sacks again. Like, no, this is easy. I can't help but come away with multiple sacks on the quarterback. Like,
see what I mean?
The pressure up front is so important, and it's something that even today, right, I think the Bears found a multitude of ways to create pressure. Linebacker blitzes, safety blitzes, those are going to be things that Dennis Allen is going to utilize a ton this season. But if it's a thing you don't have to worry about, if it's a conversation you don't have to have, where is the push coming from up front? There's a 47-pound human being
347
that can push most of the line by himself in the middle. It changes so much of what this defense is. And now you pair that up with the mindset Al Harris has, with the takeaways, with all, now you are talking about real quick, this is a Super Bowl caliber team.
Yeah, and if you can generate pressure with your front four, right, it allows you to – when you're playing really good quarterbacks and really elite coordinators, they understand, where pressure's coming from. Yeah. They understand, how to replace that pressure with a hot route or with a route, or they understand how to pick up that second level and third level pressure, getting the ball out quick, scheming you and stuff like that. So it makes it really hard for a defense to be a defense, right, to get off the field, because now you have elite coordinators, you have elite quarterbacks that have seen everything. They already know, okay, they can't get to me with 4. I know they got to bring second-level pressure. They got to bring third-level pressure or safety. They got to bring a corner blitz, and we're going to pick you apart. We're going to make you pay. It's like the elite coordinators and quarterbacks in this league, they welcome pressure because that pressure creates opportunity.
Yeah.
So and that's the thing. If you cannot get consistent pressure with your front four, and not just your front four, but, having a multitude of guys that can get pressure on the quarterback, then you're going to be in trouble.
It changes what Dennis Allen can be comfortable doing, right? Like right now, there's some quarterbacks that you're going to play. Look, as the season goes on, I'm not worried about Deshaun Watson throwing the football downfield anymore, right? I'm not worried about a deep pass from Shedeur Sanders. But when you get into playing the Packers, you're going to play the Patriots. Yes. You're going to play the Seahawks. You're going to play teams where the quarterback can pick you apart if you don't create that pressure. To me,
not can, is going to pick you apart.
Hey, I think what we saw early on in this game, J Mack, right? Like Deshaun Watson, that first drive or first 2 drives looked like a veteran quarterback that you gave time to throw the football to.
Yeah. So that's why it's so important. Like, it's just being able to get pressure with that front four, whoever it is, or a combination of 4, and not having to rely on second level and third level pressure or manufacturing pressure, creating blitzes and trying to cause confusion, just allows you to be more sound, but allows your defense to get off the field and have a sip of Gatorade. You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing too, when you have a defense struggling like that, it puts a lot of pressure on the offense, right? Offense, you got to be operating. You have to, because we know if we can get a stop defensively, and we got a defense that's giving up a lot of yards, and we know that they're going to be on the field for a long time, we've got to capitalize on our opportunities and our drives when we're on the field.
Yeah.
That's what we saw last year.
I think you can hear how excited we are about this offense, and we've got the questions on the defense. We'll talk about that a little bit more coming up after the break. Chris, Raul, we see you on the line. We will get to your calls coming up next. 312-332-3776. Make sure to call in with any comments or concerns that you had on today's game. Jason McKie, Pat, the Designer post-game show.
And the crusher caught by Jay McLeod to the 20, out of bounds to the 15. I almost called him J.J. McLeod. It's Ray McLeod, and he gets a big first down. I appreciate the veteran touch on the ball from Case Keenum.
Case Keenum had an absolute day today, a perfect quarterback rating, 9 for 10, 151 on the yards today, and 2 touchdowns, J Mack. He put an absolute show on display in the second half. And I'll be honest with you, J Mack, in your career, did you ever get to a point where before you retired where they were putting you with the third string guy? It just didn't look fair. It truly just did not look fair. Right. I was watching it and I was like, listen, I get it. He's older, but he still was a starter in the league and had a season where he was probably a top 15 quarterback in the league. Yeah. He's a lot better than everybody standing out there.
I call him Coach Keenum, right? And just because last year, just watching after every series when Caleb came off the field, who's he go over to? Case Keenum. They all sit there. JT Barrett's there as well. Yeah. Case is helping him break down that previous drive along with JT Barrett, right? And Case is a guy who's been through a lot of different scenarios throughout his career. He was once supposed to be a franchise quarterback. Then next thing you know, he's on the practice squad, moving around a little bit. So those experiences, and that's something I asked him too, those experiences him being able to share those experiences, being able to help coach or help develop, Caleb and Tyson Bagent and Miller Moss in that quarterback room, I think it's really aided in those guys' development because you have a guy who's gone through a lot of different scenarios. You have a guy who's been in the same situations that a lot of those quarterbacks in that room are in right now.
Yeah, why don't we listen in on you speaking with Case Keenum in the post game show, I should say. This was J Mack with Case after the game.
Perfect quarterback rating today. You're the Wiley veteran in that room. Talk about how it felt to get out there and get some live action here in the preseason.
Yeah, I felt great. I don't care if it's preseason one, against maybe some backups in Cleveland or the kids down the street, man, throwing touchdowns and moving the ball down the field is fun. So I thought the young guys did really well when I was in there. Some young O-linemen and some rookie receivers, some young tight ends, and some backs. It was a blast. It was a lot of fun. I thought it's good to get some live action and get some of that experience under your belt and move along.
Being a veteran in this league for a long time, you've played in a lot of different offenses. What excites you most about a Ben Johnson offense?
There's a lot of things, man. The foundation we're building, I think, is as strong as any offense that I've been a part of. It's kind of like the greatest hits, man. It's so many really good things from so many different schemes and places that he's grabbed and pulled and put together. And then game plan wise, man, you just never know what's coming up. Even this game, we had some wrinkles that, keep you excited and on your toes. So I really enjoyed playing for him, playing for all the coaches. They did a great job.
You've experienced a lot in your time in the league. You've been a franchise guy. You've been on practice squads. You moved around a little bit. How have those experiences been able to help the young quarterbacks in the room?
Yeah, I think experience is priceless, especially in this league. To be able to doing this now for 15 years, you've seen a lot and you've experienced a lot. And, I try to teach them and let them learn through my mistakes. Like, hey, dude, I tried to do it this way. I'm going to tell you, it does not work. And so, there's a lot of things that pop up throughout the course of a week, game, all different situations. And I think those guys have been very receptive to that. We got a great quarterback room. I really enjoy working with all those guys.
So I know a lot of rooms that I've been a part of in the league, we always had, in-room competitions. There's something that you guys compete on a daily basis that help you challenge each other daily.
Yeah, we compete in all things, everything, from bucket drill to throwing the net to completion percentage on the day to, all different types of things to, playing pig on the Nerf basketball in the room. So, I think competition, helps kill complacency. So for us, we don't want to be complacent in any part of our game. So we compete in all areas.
Last question for you. A lot of guys have gone up to the podium and said, hey, you know what? Case Keenum is the ultimate teammate or the best teammate that I've had. Talk about how important it is being a good teammate and imparting into not just guys in the quarterback room, but guys on the roster overall.
Yeah, I love being a great teammate. I love being a part of a team. There's really nothing like an NFL locker room. You have so many different guys from so many different walks of life, backgrounds. Heck, we got guys from different continents on our team, multiple. So I think it's so cool to see a group of guys like that come together for a common goal and create a chemistry and a bond that you don't find really many other places at all. And it's very special to me, and I don't take that lightly.
Congrats on the win. Thanks for your time. Back to you guys up in the booth. Yeah, here with another Bears quarterback, Tyson Bagent. Tyson.
That was Case Keenum. J Mack, you could just hear the veteran presence. You can hear the soundness. He truly has become a player coach on this team, which, that's how you keep those good checks coming in. What's he getting? 1.3 base salary with a $800,000 signing bonus. As long as I can keep slinging this ball, I'm gonna keep putting this helmet on.
Yeah, I think it's you have a great guy who's a great teammate, and there's some veterans that don't want to help develop young guys, don't want no part of it, and when you hear guys like Tyson Bagent and you hear Caleb Williams go up to that podium and mention, how much Case Keenum has meant to that quarterback room and what he gives to that quarterback room, I think that's phenomenal. It just shows the type of person and player he is. I think at the end of the day, I think he's going to end up being a great quarterback coach or a coach in this league because he's able to, like I said, he has a lot of experience. He's been through a lot of things, but he's willing to give back and help develop young guys, even though he's in competition, maybe not direct competition, but he's still in competition with these guys at the end of the day.
It feels like you finally built that quarterback room that we've been talking about. We needed in Chicago for a long time. You got the star in Caleb Williams. Yep. Okay, not to say he needs it, but if I want to light a little bit of an extra fire behind him, we're going to pay Tyson Bagent. We're going to keep him around for a couple of years, and he's not messing up in practice. So if you start to slip, there's somebody right behind you that's putting this system on display and looking good. Okay, now we need the guy that's going to be able to get in Caleb's ear. We saw this a ton last year and say, hey, this is what you missed on this. This is what you got to see. This is where you need to check. Helping him learn the quarterback position as somebody who has actually gone out there and been successful and played the quarterback position. This is the dream quarterback room that we've been begging for in Chicago for years, because every time we would get a young quarterback, whoever it was, it just went, it's your show. Go figure it out.
Yeah, and here's the thing, too. You look at J.T. Barrett, a former quarterback. That's the quarterback coach that is – had a good college career. Yeah. NFL career didn't necessarily pan out, but another guy that's experienced being, a quarterback that was on a pedestal. Yeah. From his days at Ohio State. He was the man. He was the focal point. So a lot of different dynamics, right, different personality types in that quarterback room. But the one thing that's constant is their chemistry and bond is all for, each one of those guys. They're hoping each one of them perform really well whenever they get their opportunity.
Let's go out to the phone lines, man. Call in if you have any comments on today's game. Who stood out the most to you today? Jordan Vandenberg, Jamari Croma, Beanie Bishop, Malik Muhammad. There was a bunch of names that you could go to there. Let's start it off with Chris on the south side. Chris, what's going on, man?
J Mack, Pat, what's going on,
What's happening, brother?
How you doing, man?
Nothing much, man. Hey, so I don't really know, the logistics and kind of the rules that go with what I'm getting ready to ask y'all. Maybe J Mack would be able to shed some light on it as a former player. But even before, somebody like Beanie Bishop had a big day like he did today in preseason game number one, one of the things that I was kind of wondering is, are we entering kind of like the territory where somebody like Kyler Gordon is somebody that the Bears are looking at to kind of release with some sort of injury designation, some sort of injury settlement? They drafted Muhammad. Somebody like Beanie Bishop takes the best of an opportunity on a day like today, and he comes up with two big plays. So are we kind of saw, or we kind of heard, some disappointment from Ben and Ryan Poles already in the last couple of weeks. So are we looking at Kyler as somebody who might be the odd man out coming up sometime soon, man? And I'm gonna hang up and I'm gonna listen.
Appreciate the call, Chris. What are your thoughts, Mag? You want to throw them? I would say this year probably no shot at it. Kyler Gordon, if you were going to waive Kyler Gordon, the dead cap would be $17 million. But when you talk about next season, it depends on what he does this season, J-Mac. But when you talk about next season, you have to start to get on the field. The one thing that I give this coaching staff credit for is they don't hide their feelings and opinions on a player when they speak to the media. It is not a coincidence that they sound as frustrated as they do. It is not a coincidence that they are going out there and saying the only message to Kyler Gordon right now is get healthy, because there's no other message to have. Because you know what? When he's on the field, he's probably one of the top 3 slot corners in football.
Yeah.
But that don't do me a whole lot when you're standing on the sidelines. And I think that, I heard Adam Hogue talking about it has reached Nate Davis levels of frustration. And not to say that Kyler Gordon is a Nate Davis-like player. Nate Davis, to me, should have a plaque by the battle ropes, because that's the only spot he spent any amount of time over there, and he didn't even do the battle ropes very well. You know what I mean? There was some weak battle ropes over there. I would never say that that's what Kyler Gordon is or has been in a Bears jersey. But do I think that the frustration is there where you're going, okay, we're dealing with this injury again. We're dealing with soft tissue. Is it something we're doing? Is it something you're doing? Yeah. And you can't find whatever the answer is at the bottom line. That could lead to next season with only $5 million in dead cap that you would hit. You don't show up. we don't have a spot for you.
It's definitely, I agree with you, Pat. Like this year, no, I don't think there's a chance. But next year, yeah, that's definitely a possibility. I mean, look at Jaquan Brisker, had his best year last year, and where's he at? He's playing for Pittsburgh. So it's, and that's because of, him, not being available. Yeah. You look at Kyler Gordon. How many games did he miss last year? Was it 12?
Kyler Gordon missed. He only played in 3 games last season.
So, I mean, that's, when you're looking at a defense in which he was going to be a key cog in his defense. And like we said,
the one player DA called out by name.
Yeah.
What are you excited about, Kyler Gordon?
Yeah, because of how he plays the game and what he can do. He's like a Swiss Army knife, right? He can play in the box. He's good against the run. Playing the slot, put him outside. Like, he's a guy that can blitz well, but just can't get healthy.
Yeah.
And it's just unfortunate when you have a guy that could bring a totally different playmaking dynamic to your defense. You're watching him every day in the training room. He's getting rehab and stuff like that. And don't get it twisted. Like, it's and it's what are the Bears doing collectively to get him back too? Because we can't just say it's all on Kyler. I'm not there every day, but who knows? The trainers may be giving him a protocol to do. He may not. I don't know what the story is, but end of the day, like, why can't we get him on the field?
Yeah, that's
what it is.
That's what it's going to come down to, and he's not the one who he wasn't brought in by this Ben Johnson regime.
Worth mentioning, Courtney Cronin afterwards tweeted, obviously Ben Johnson talked to the press. He was asked about a timeline for Kyler Gordon's return. One word, unknown.
That's bad.
Yeah.
That's bad, J Mack. And it's, you know what it is? It's to the point where he's sick of the media asking about it. But there's no timeline. There's no. That is Nate Davis levels of frustration. Like, I don't even think. Again, not saying he's a Nate Davis player. I think he's a top 3
and
slot corner. But
here's my thing, though.
Timeline. That's crazy.
But this is the thing, though, and this isn't a shot at anybody. This is just the facts. Like, if I'm that training staff, I'm not giving the head coach a timeline for his return, or is Kyler Gordon telling you, hey, the training staff's telling the coaching staff, hey, he should be back in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And Kyler's telling I don't have my timeline's unknown.
Yeah.
We don't know what the truth is.
What's the disconnect?
That's what I'm saying. Where's the disconnect? And I get it, right? Your best ability is availability. So am I trying to make a scapegoat for Kyler? No, I'm not. Not at all. Am I trying to make a scapegoat for this training staff? No. But where's the disconnect?
Yeah.
It's you have the best of the best in every organization. You got the best trainers, you got the best coaches, right? Everything has to be at an elite level. If you want to operate at an elite level, if you want to achieve that ultimate goal, everything has to be at an elite level. The way you practice, the way your nutrition is. So my thing is this. Where's the disconnect in terms of our protocol for getting players back on the field?
And I would say this, J Mack, on the flip side of it, when you're looking at other guys that are out there that have come back,
correct.
Ozzie Trapillo might be back.
That's what
by the end of training camp, per what we heard from Ryan Poles.
And that's why I'm not giving Kyler a pass, because is he not going to treatment? Like, what's the story?
Dayo Adangbo's back on the field after his injury. TJ Edwards' foot was facing the other direction.
Coach Johnson said when I think at his opening press conference, right before training camp started, he said Kyler's a guy that's been here all offseason, right?
Yep.
So what was the protocol?
Yeah.
What was he doing? What was the rehab like? How was he lifting? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
there's a lot we don't know.
We don't know.
Into
so I don't want to put that on the training side. I don't want to put that on Kyler, but it's on. What's the deal?
Yeah.
Like, answer the question mark.
Yeah.
Answer the question mark.
And the answer to the question mark at this point just
can't just
get
be
back
unknown.
On the field.
And I get it. And that's bad if your head coach doesn't know when a player is designated to come back. Like, that's unacceptable. That's not operating at an elite level.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, what did the trainers tell Coach Johnson?
Yeah. There's to me, there's
like,
so much
sense.
There's so much mystery around it. It does feel like one of those situations.
Make it make sense.
Where you're just like, is this just injury or is there something else that's going on here?
That's what I'm saying. Like, you can't soft tissue injury, you can't figure out how or
what the answer is.
Or we can't figure out the best way to treat it, or
apparently
skipping treatment, or what's the deal?
Meanwhile, apparently the hands of God have been laid on some of these other guys that have been in the building.
And we need them.
And we need them.
That's why
Kyler.
Me too. Kyler, I'm like, man, I love Kyler. And we need him. I want to see him out there. That's why I'm so frustrated. But we need an answer.
Yeah.
Somebody.
Yeah.
Answer the question mark. Don't make it a question no more.
That's the problem. The other thing is, too, and I think Ryan Poles pointed this out, yes, it's a question mark, But also the biggest question mark is, sure, he came back.
But why is
Can he stay out
why
there?
Is it a question
Can he
mark?
come back and stay on the field?
My question is, why is it a question? If that makes sense. Why is it a question mark?
Yeah.
Why is there no timeline?
Yeah.
Make it make sense.
We know Kobe Bryant's timeline. We know a lot of timelines.
That's
in
what
this
I'm
building.
saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
We need him back.
It's very concerning. It's going to be one of the more
there.
concerning things probably this entire season. We're going to take a quick break here. 312-332-3776. If you want to call in, talk about Vita Vea, we talked about that. If you want to call in, talk about concerns around Kyler Gordon, we just talked about that. And, of course, who stood out to you in this preseason game. Jason McKie, Pat the Designer, post-game show. We'll be right back.
Fake, going to go back of the screen. Ahmed goes up in the air, snares it, 50, 45, Brown territory 40, angles middle, 35, 30, and away he goes, 20, 15, 10, goodbye, touchdown, touchdown Bears, 49 yards on the screen. Ahmed runs free and away from the Browns, and the Bears have their first lead, 16-10, just about 2 minutes gone by, third quarter.
That RB3 competition is going to be one to watch closely as Ahmed with the big run right there. We talked about that a little bit already, J Mack. I mean, just the amount of talent that this Bears team has in that running back room, it's really, really good to see. You okay over there?
Yeah, I'm trying to get. Well, you start talking about running backs. I had to
You had to stand up? Is that what that was?
See, I was all disoriented. Badge all on the microphone. I got excited hearing that highlight by Savon Ahmed.
It was. You know what we saw there that I thought was very good was the quick twitch burst where he's like, I got to get outside. And once he got outside, he had that extra level. That's what's going to make it really tough for a guy like Roschon Johnson in this running back competition. Is Roschon is what he's a power back that, unfortunately, very good on special teams, has had some concussion issues. But to me, when I see his game, you're probably talking about somebody that doesn't have that extra burst of speed.
Right, you're talking about a difference maker. And I think when you look at the elite backs in this league, the backs that are getting paid, two backs that just received extensions, and Bijan Robinson and Jahmyr Gibbs, they're difference makers.
Yeah.
Why are they difference makers? Because they can take a routine play and take it a distance and make it an explosive play. And, I think Roschon is a guy who, yes, does he do some things well? Is he a good football player? He's a complete football player because he can play special teams, but at the same time, he's not a guy we've seen throughout his time here in Chicago that's going to, one, he's got to stay healthy, but two, can he make that explosive play? Yeah. Now, he's a chain mover.
Oh, yeah.
He's physical. He's tough. He's a great football player, great teammate, but, guy like offenses and coordinators in the league, they're looking for difference makers.
And you know what Ben wants? Ben wants the explosive. All right, I want to take a quick second here because you got to talk with Caleb Williams on the sideline. I want to listen in to what Caleb had to say about what he's expecting from this team this year.
Being in the second year in the same system, how relieved are you that you finally get a chance to have the same system 2 years in a row?
Yeah, I'm juiced. I mean, being able to have, a bunch of similar faces on the football field with me, start there, and then being able to have a familiar face and a familiar offense calling the play, same voice, all of that. It's huge for me. Being able to grow off of last year. Last year doesn't mean anything, for this season. But other than being able to, have some, like I said, relatable faces, relatable voices, coach calling in the plays, the formations and everything being the same. I'm not worried about necessarily, what I have to do with my drop and all of that. I'm more worried about, what's the defense doing and how can I adjust and correct.
So Miller Moss, obviously you guys got a deep quarterback room. Guys been making plays. But talk about your guy Miller Moss. How has it been having him in training camp? And where have you seen him make the biggest strides since he set foot at Hallis?
Yeah, I think, Miller graduated at USC in like 2.5 years. So he's really smart. And it's if you know about USC, it's a really hard school. And especially the school that he went to inside of USC is a really tough school. And so, he's really smart. I've known that since we've been friends and since we've been teammates, at USC to now. And so I'm really excited for him to watch him in his fourth quarter and, throughout the preseason to be able to get his opportunity out here. And, just like any other guys, I'm excited for all of them. So to have him out here and to be with me here in Chicago, you don't get too many experiences too many times like this.
Coach Johnson has talked about it time and time again throughout training camp, the speed in the receiver room, talking about putting together a 4x1 track team. Who would be on your 4x1 track team out of that receiver room?
My 4x1 would be Caden. I would go Caden, Zay. Caden, Zay, Scoot, and Jade just ran 22.42 the other day. So I'll go Jade.
Jalen Johnson squirting water over here, but that's a hard decision. That's when you know you have a lot of speed in that room.
A lot of speed in the room, man. It's exciting. I think the other day we had like 6 or 7 guys, maybe the whole offensive room, or wide receiver room. I think we had over like 21 miles per hour. So we were rolling, or 20 to 21 miles per hour. So yeah, we got a fast room, and it's not only speed, but they run great routes. They break down well. Knowing how to get in and out of zones and off man and off press and all of this. So I'm really excited about this season and what we got.
Thanks for your time. Best of luck this season.
Caleb Williams having way too much fun with J Mack over there, and Jalen Johnson in the back just playing around. You feel the good vibes around this team. We're going to take one more quick break, and we'll be right back on the other side of this. 312-332-3776. Getting to your final calls coming up next.
He's one of them. Chroma up the edge, and down he goes. Sack of Dylan Gabriel. We saw it coming from up here a mile away. He beat the right tackle, came in for his second sack, and this man is having himself a preseason game.
One of the things of many to be excited about today. J Mack, one thing that had me excited is even before the game even started, seeing some of the footage of Luther Burden already out there running around, trying to get himself, back into shape. The expectation with that groin injury right now is that he's going to be back week 1 versus the Carolina Panthers. But we know with a groin injury, you got to be very careful. So I would say, not to say take that expectation loosely, but until I hear Ben Johnson say it. You know what I mean? Y'all saw Ben the other day. It was like, look, I don't know who told you 8 to 10 weeks, but
yeah,
I didn't say it.
Yeah, I mean, just man, preseason, right? You got joint practices coming up, 2 more preseason games, both on the road.
Yeah,
both joint practices on the road. So health is wealth.
The biggest
NFL.
thing.
Health is wealth, and being able to develop backups to be starters. That's the key ingredient to have success year in and year out in the league. And hey, man, it's exciting. Bears ball is back, even if it's preseason. I'm excited to see a lot of guys that we saw make plays today build upon the performance that we saw today. And it's going to be good. Do you think we see Caleb this preseason at all?
I was just about to ask you that. Like, is that important in your mind at all to see Caleb? Because Ben Johnson came out and said it. He's like, I don't need to see Caleb Williams play preseason football. Right. He's also getting an opportunity to see him in the joint practices. I'll be up there tomorrow because he's also seeing Caleb Williams probably right after this game. I'll bet you tomorrow is very game-like. I'll bet you tomorrow is a very aggressive practice. Probably your starters are going to have for the starters, right? For the guys that did not play a ton today. I would expect that you're going to see a little bit more tomorrow. But, you played, so I would lean on your expertise. But I do think there is something to, especially for a quarterback, having a real fear of getting hit, right? I don't need him Jackson darting it. You know what I mean? I don't need him in the blue tent because somebody's taking him out. But I think there's a difference in practice where you can't hit me, otherwise we're going to have a massive fight, and real game situation where you can hit me and I actually need to prepare myself for what might be coming off of the edges.
Correct. You're getting a really good look, right, in a joint practice because it's ones versus ones. Yeah. But at the same time, he knows that, hey, stay off the quarterback. Both teams, you know what I mean? They're going to go live and go live on the quarterback. Yeah. That doesn't happen. So, yeah, I'm mixed feelings. I think that him logging a lot of reps in these joint practices, somewhat of a game-type environment is good. But at the same time, like you mentioned, Pat, your body has to get calloused at some point in time, right? Especially for the lineman. The lineman, I think, you got to have some live action. You got to be able to play to get lathered up for the season. And for a quarterback, just to know that I'm not getting sacked, well, then I may be able to take my time, sit longer in that pocket, not have to manipulate the pocket as much. But I do hope we see him at some point. It's one thing to go through a game-type routine to prepare your body and your mind to go out there and play a game, even if it is for a series or two. So I do hope we see him, at some point in the preseason.
Next week would be the only time probably that you would get a chance to see him. I doubt they would play him in that week 3. Me going down there for the joint practice, I'm hoping to see him.
Okay.
I'll be down in Cincy for a few days down there.
Get you a helmet, man.
Yeah.
Get out there.
Listen, brother. Ain't nobody finna hit me.
You're going to do a Dylan Gabriel.
My football days are over.
Business
100% I'm Dylan Gabriel.
And I'm going to talk so bad about you. I'm going to talk so bad.
A real football player? You going to talk bad about me?
I'm going to say, who gave Pat the helmet?
Jonathan Allen up the middle.
Who gave
Pat? You going to talk about me.
Who gave Pat the designer helmet?
We're going to get up out of here. Of course, we will be back and better than ever on the Chicago Bears podcast, where you can see this dynamic all the time. For Jason McKie, it is your boy Pat the Designer, back at it again. Appreciate you guys for tuning in and showing love. As always, y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. Bears get the win 34-10 over the Cleveland Browns. Bear down.
Bear down.
One love. Peace.